G'day guys, welcome to the final episode of the beginner series. Sorry it's taken me so long to actually get this one out. I have been really busy, but as you can see here, I haven't actually logged in a very long time, so long that I'm actually eligible for the returning user exclusive gift. So today I just want to show you guys where my stopping point of the beginner series was, as well as do a very quick run through the entire sort of process that I did to get to this stage where my account is pseudo RTA ready. Now with Summoners War, there's the classic saying that it's a marathon, not a sprint. So what I've really tried to be doing here is actually trying to sprint that marathon as fast as we possibly can and get into what is considered end game content. Now there's different levels of end game. Obviously Guardian is completely different to Fighter 3 ranks. However, you can get in and you can start playing the game. You can start experiencing RTA, you can start messing around with it, you can start learning the skill that it will require for you to get up to those Guardian ranks now within about a month or two of starting playing the game. So let me show you guys what I did, how I got there, and then what we're able to sort of achieve as an end result. So I haven't been playing this account for well over a month now. I think I stopped playing it at the end of the last RTA season, which was approximately around the 45 to 50 days played, but I was still able to achieve F3 in RTA. So as you can see here, we did a total of 55 wings. I went 32 and 23. Now, I potentially could have pushed and maybe gotten up into the Conqueror 1 range, but I just ran out of time essentially to really sit there and grind out those wins and slowly climb up the points. So I sort of didn't bother playing any extra wings. So we only really did a few wings here, but we're still able to get F3. And once you're in sort of the F3 C1 rank, it's still going to be very difficult because you're going to get out-ruined by a lot of people, as well as if you're a very early game player like me, you don't have the units to really build and compete super competitively on that regard either. But you have enough stuff, you have some things, you have some hopefully some nat 5s that you can use, and you can get in there and you can actually just start playing it, you know what I mean? A lot of people play Summoners War just for RTA, so this way you can get in there and you can start experiencing what most people consider Summoners War game to actually be within a month or two. You can see that I ended up ruining a decent size monster box here. We've got sort of, let's say 10 or so different units here with reasonable stats on them. These are definitely going to be strong enough stat-wise to get me into the Conqueror ranges, not a problem at all. The only difference is that all of mine are on like Swift, not Violent, that sort of thing. So that will hurt overall in terms of the chance of you winning. But the fact that I can get all these sets on, let me show you some of the main ones. I'll just go through them all individually. You can see here, this was Vigor. We put him on a Swift Focus set. I have Tayor on the Swift Blade set, another Swift Blade set for the Verd. We went for the Despair Energy set for Antares, Fatal Energy for Kaki, Despair Energy, Violent Energy, so you do get some Violent runes, Swift Energy, Swift Nemesis, there just happen to be some runes I picked up. And then these two here we didn't really use. So it is a very small and limited monster box, but it's got a mixture of some things here. I've got some strips, I've got some control, I've got some damage, I've got a little bit of healing, I've got turn cycling, all those sort of, and a bit, one of sort of every color, do you know what I mean? It's sort of, I've got a bit of a array here that it gives me a little bit of options, not very many options, but some options, and I've got high enough stats that I'm not just going to get one shot by absolutely everything, and any of the potential orderers aren't going to just be able to outclass me with their rune quality as easily. There still will be obviously, the really stronger players that are also sort of farming and botting down in these ranks. Try and avoid those and try and do what you can with those. You know, at the end of the day, we're still only, at this point of the game, when I started playing RTA, I was only 30 days played. So you do want to keep that in mind. Okay, so now let's look at Oliver here sort of specifically. Now, these are very reasonable stats for an Oliver. Probably if I had an extra 20 or so speed, this could be usable in sort of C3. It's actually not too far off, like decent quality here. And the reason that it's not too far off is because one, we're using an energy set for a few extra stats instead of the will set, but two, we're not far behind because we have managed to get gems and grinds on all of the runes. So because of that, we actually really increase your strength overall, and we can actually now start to actually compete. Until you have gems and grinds on all of your runes, on all of your units that you're using in RTA, you're not actually really ready for RTA. You can't discount the reason that you're losing is the fact that you might not have had a grind on one of your runes. So because of that, the absolute bare minimum requirement for you to get into RTA is 6 runes, 2 artifacts, all of your runes plus 15, and then all of your runes gemmed and grinded. Once you have that done, and then you have a monster box of about 10 or so units, you can start playing RTA. That is the only requirement for you to get in there and start actually competing. You're still going to lose a lot because you're still obviously only a new player, but you can start playing and you can start competing straight away. Now, to get to that point, that process of getting the runes, getting the artifacts, and then getting the gems and grinds for those, that's what my entire beginner series has been about. It's the streamlined, fastest, most efficient way for you to possibly do that, which was getting our GB12 up and running. Now, this is the end team here that we ended up using with the Fran, double Melia, and then the Sath and the Tartu here. These are quickly just the runes and the stats on them. Now the game basically gives you all of these runes too, all of these sets. I may have made a few upgrades as I've gotten a few extra ones, but we've basically just been running this team here the entire time. The next thing that we wanted to be doing was farming the runes. Now the runes specifically that we are looking for here were runes to get our BJ5 up and running. So we're looking for a fatal, a very high damage fatal set that we can put onto our Bale and get him high enough DPS that we can then start looking for the pickup groups in BJ5. So as you can see here, my Bale is on a fatal wheel set. The wheel runes I picked up out of lab or either with some crafting materials that you get from farming in Giants. Craft some wheel runes to try and get the couple of wheel runes that you're going to need. You can see here they're not really the highest quality. This one here is basically a blue, and then this one here is actually a purple, and it's a decent one, but I just got a bit lucky with it. But you can see here even these are gemmed and grinded as well, just to give me that little bit of extra damage. I go through this in the video, but my Bale is specifically built to be tuned with my main account, so this isn't the Bale that you guys are going to want to be building. Yours is going to be lower crit rate but higher DPS, so more attack and more crit damage. You'll jump straight from GB12 into your R5. Now over in the Labyrinth here, this is going to be your absolute best friend. This is where you are going to pick up a few gems and grinds along the way, as well as you are going to start looking for some fight runes that you're going to just need just to put on some of your off units to build your first BJ5 team as well. So make sure you're doing your lab all the time and prioritize fight runes above everything else, then probably violent and will. Prioritize any gem or grind that will go onto a giant's rune. So pick up any of the swift, fatal, blade, energy, any of those sort of ones there, the despair, pick those up. They're the ones that you want to grab as priority because you have those runes. You can also pick up some violent and will gems and grinds as well. You will have violent runes, as well as you are going to be looking for a few will runes just to get through with your Bale team anyway. You may as well pick up some gems and grinds for those out of the lab here as soon as possible. Okay, so once you have all your runes, now you have the ability to get some gems and grinds as well. I go through in the beginner series and show that you want to farm the very beginning, early stages of Steel Fortress and Punisher's Crypt, just level 1 initially, just to get a few artifacts. Once you've actually got this dots team here up and running, you can now actually run B10 using the exact same team that you're using in GB12. So you can now start to collect just a little bit of artifacts for some of your RTA units, as well as you'll just pick up some extra ones that you can use on your PvE units as well. So this is another area of the game that you are going to need to farm eventually. It doesn't hurt you now that you have your runes, you have some gems and grinds, you can jump straight over and get a little bit of this done and just give yourself that little bit of an extra edge when you do get into RTA. There it goes, finishes that dungeon just as easily. Now, with the Punisher's Crypt, you can run this one here on B10, but it isn't actually as safe or as stable. So I actually usually just ran it on the B8. All we're really looking for is blue artifacts. Again, we're not going to be farming this for a very long time. I think I spent less than a day farming this, you know, just running through just to get a few artifacts. As soon as I got anything that sort of made any sort of sense, and it was at least obviously a blue quality for the RTA units, I moved on. This is one of the areas where this speed running to get through to RTA, having to farm this on B8 instead of B10 is a slightly less efficient way than if you were to take your time a little bit more, but just for the sake of getting there as soon as possible, I decided to do it this way. If I had a bit more time in terms of days played, as well as a bit more time in real life to actually get on and farm and grind this out just a little bit more, I think it is possible to get up into the Conqueror range finishes within a couple of months. So we've just jumped over to my main account now, because I just wanted to say one more thing about this sort of strategy that I was sort of laid out for you guys with only really farming Giants and R5. Now, obviously, eventually you are going to want to get into the dragons and necro dungeons, but with only giants runes and R5, the things that you can actually achieve in Summoner's War is really high. So the G3 arena finish that I have here is using giant runes. Now obviously I've got some really good units and things like that as well, but the rune sets that I actually use to achieve that G3 finish are runes out of giants. The G3 special league finish that I have here, that was using only giants runes. I managed to cleave my way into the top 100 one season using a specific cleave again. It kind of had the right units to make it work, but at the end of the day, all I was using was runes out of giants, all of my Swift sets. I had 5 Swift sets on the units and I cleaved, and I ran the same team every single time and happened to sneak into G3. Now the other thing here is last season I got a G1 finish as well. I was just cleaving using a kind of a variation of my special league cleave team, and I was still able to get G1 last season again using only the giants and despair runes that I had picked up, not really running any violent sets and not really using very much wheel runes either. So that's going to be it, guys. That is going to be the final episode of this beginner series. I may do another one in the future where I'll try and play it maybe slightly differently, or I'll try and play it this same way but maybe take it a little bit further if I have some more time. I'll just sort of see how that goes, but I just wanted to sort of put this out there. I see a lot of people asking, and I get asked a lot too, about new players that are really pushing and wanting to get into RTA, and the most common response is don't worry about it. Sort of, you got to take your time and sort of work your way through the game. So I just wanted to put this out there as a bit of a guide and a different perspective that you can actually get into RTA quite quickly. You just got to have some sort of realistic expectations on what you're going to be able to achieve. But for most people, the very first achievement that you really want to be looking for in RTA is going to be Conqueror 1, and that is definitely achievable within a month or two of starting the game. So good luck with all your accounts, guys. Let me know how you guys go. If this has helped you out at all, do me a huge favor, hit the subscribe button and the like as well. Take it easy, guys. I'll see you in the next one.